Happy Friday, and thanks for tuning into RadioFreeRhinecliff.org. And this show in particular, correct me if I'm Norm, I'm your host, Norm, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight with J. India, a.k.a. Jennifer C., a.k.a. Jennifer Ciotta, and Lord knows how many other aliases there are out there. Jennifer, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Norm. And I have the scoop for you tonight.
Oh, right, because you're the host of the Rhinebeck Scoop right here on Radio Free Rhinecliff. What's your scoop, Jennifer?
Well, I'm going to pass it on to my friend here, so please.
Oh.
Hello, I'm Dana Peterson. I am your friendly local write-in candidate for town board. And as some of you may know, but some of you may not. So that's why I'm here with this urgent message. Erin Kokobun has resigned. She's not running anymore, but her name is still on the ballot. So it's incumbent upon you, as you do the greatest and most sacred of all civic duties, and you vote in this election. Go the whole way down ballot. Fill in all those dots, except pause at the last one. Do not fill in Erin Kokobun. Do not touch it. Do not touch anything in that column. Go to the bottom right and write in my name, Dana Peterson.
These are like rules from a game of Monopoly.
I know. And it's so painful because I'm basically standing outside the entire week, kind of grabbing people, which is very confrontational at a time when everyone's very stressed out. I'm the Dem, by the way. Let me share that. And, basically everyone is tense and upset, and they don't want to be stopped on their way in to go vote. And so, I'm doing my best to seem very friendly and just explain the situation, because I don't want people getting their ballots spoiled or screwing things up in a write-in. It's very complicated. So I'm out there getting the word out, and now I'm here with you, getting the word out with you fine people.
Do they need to bring a pen, or are there pens there?
No. There are pens there, and you have to use those special pens, and they'll give them to you there in the booth. And if you're having trouble or you can't remember, the folks there can help you how to do the write-in. You can always go to a poll worker and say, I'm trying to do the write-in. I don't want to screw it up. How do I do it? And they will help you so that you don't spoil your ballot, because they've had a lot of spoiled ballots.
That's a great idea to ask the poll worker, how do I do this?
Yes, exactly. Don't cross anything out. Don't fill in the oval for the Dem and then go down and also write me in. That will not count. They'll prompt you to redo the ballot.
God.
It's happened a lot. A lot of people have been redoing ballots. It pains me to know that I'm slowing the cogs of democracy.
And do you know how often do write-in candidates succeed? I mean, it's a lot of difficulties and a lot of ways to fuck up.
Lisa Murkowski. I mean, I guess if your name's that big and I don't remember why she had to do a write-in, but she did, and I think it was successful. But she was Lisa Murkowski.
And what's your name on the ballot?
Dana. My name's not on the ballot, but you're going to write it on the ballot.
What's the name that needs to go on?
Dana Peterson.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, as you just introduced Jen, and with all of her crazy monikers, I have the same problem. And a lot of people spend a lot of time learning different names for me. And so now I'm
Don't say any of them.
Yeah, I'm not saying them right now. You know who I am.
Can you spell your name, please?
I like that.
DanaPeterson.
And if they write in SEN, they're going to throw that out?
The Board of Elections will probably honor anything that's like a reasonable evidence of intent.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Dana
hopefully.
Patterson.
Not Patterson. Probably not Patterson. That would be too different. Yeah.
Huh. So you're running for what again?
For the town board. And this is super important. There are 4 spots on town board. And one of the things that I really want to get done is I want to get a bike walk trail between Rhinecliff and the village.
Oh. Wonderful.
Why don't we already have that? Wouldn't it be great to, have some better transportation to get folks around? There are just so many things that are so important. It's really important we engage with the change going on here.
Right.
And do it in a thoughtful way. So
cool.
So thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
And that's
sharing
the
that.
Rhinebeck Town Board.
Yes, Rhinebeck Town Board. Yes.
Right. So for our listeners in Denmark,
yeah.
you can disregard everything. Yeah. It's not the Copenhagen Town Board. It's Rhinebeck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dana Peterson, thank you for being here.
Thank you
Good
for having
luck.
me.
I hope it works out.
Thank you.
And Jen C., great scoop.
Such a good scoop. And she's pretty, you guys.
Yeah,
so
she
if
is.
you're super official,
I
just
was
vote that way.
Yeah, I was imagining her standing out there and people being, I'm voting for you, lady. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, Dana. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll reconnoiter on Wednesday, I guess.
Yeah,
it's
let's
right around
do
the
it.
corner.
Let's do it. We won't know results for a while, especially on my race.
Oh, right.
But that's okay. I'll be there in spirit, dancing the streets whenever the moment is right. So
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jen C. How does this rate versus other scoops that you have on your show, Rhinebeck Scoop?
This is by far the best scoop I've had in a really long time. So
Look at
thank you. That was really good.
That's very diplomatic. Maybe you should run for office.
Absolutely fucking not.
Now, why not?
Well, first of all, technically, I don't live in Rhinebeck.
But you work in Rhinebeck right here in this studio.
I do.
Yeah.
But you do not want me running any sort of town.
Why?
Because
Why is
I
that?
will be an absolute monster. I will make rules that only suit myself and the people around me, and that's it. And that's all it would be.
I see. And then did you learn that from Vladimir Putin?
Absolutely, 100%.
I
That's
see.
how he runs his entire country.
And how do you know that?
How do I know that?
How do you know anything about Putin?
Oh, well, I have a master's degree from NYU in Russian studies and creative writing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that 2 master's degrees?
It's one. I went to the Gallatin School of Individualized Study where you can combine it. The look on your face, are you shocked that I graduated? I know. I have a community college vibe going on.
I
know.
read it somewhere on your LinkedIn or whatever, but I didn't believe it. But now you're telling me that.
I know.
No, the look on my face is probably like, really? There's a master's degree in Russian studies and creative writing? That seems like a strange combination.
Yeah, I made it up.
Interesting.
Let me tell you something, Norm. This is America. And if you pay
God
for
damn it.
anything, you can do fucking anything.
Right.
So I paid NYU to give me this degree, and they were like, okay.
Give you this freaking degree. And so how long a program is that?
I did it in 2 years.
Uh-huh.
So I did it pretty quick.
And what was your thesis on?
It was the KGB mentality of Vladimir Putin. And it's really funny because that thesis has never seen the light of day because it's not good. And I'll tell you why it's not good. It's not good because I'm not an academic writer. Shut up. You don't have the thesis
Hadn't
here.
seen the light of day until now.
You come on, let me see that. Are you lying to me? Oh, okay. I was like, if you found that thing, that's impressive. Well, it was funny because when I did the thesis, my thesis advisor was just like, so we're just gonna, make you get through this, because I was doing it for creative writing, and we're gonna just do the best we can, but just know this will never get published. I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. So as long as you're good with that.
Why did your thesis advisor say that?
Because I didn't write it in a very academic way. It was more of almost creative writing, but done in a thesis. So you can't submit anything like that.
And did much of that thesis go on to become the book with
Yes.
the beautiful title?
Yes, most of it went on to all the
Putin.
research behind it. Yeah, all the research.
So you did the thesis, then you liked it anyway, and other people, I'm guessing, liked it, and you thought, I'm going to make this into a book?
Yeah, it's a little more involved than that. I lived
good.
in
We got
Eastern Europe.
50 minutes left.
I lived in Eastern Europe for 2 years.
Why?
And I was a Peace Corps volunteer.
Oh, sweet.
And when I was living there, Putin had come into power. And I was living in a country that was right next to Russia, Estonia. And the volunteers, the second year I was there in Russia, were all thrown out of Russia because Putin didn't trust them. Remember, he has a big KGB background. So they all came to us. So that was a big influence on me, too. I was hearing a lot. I would go to Russia, not a lot, but you have to get the visa and everything to get in there. But I have gone several times. And so it had a big influence on me. And I was just fascinated by this person who had come into power that no one had heard of at the time. And so now looking back at it, I had predicted in my book that he would be in power until 2024, and it's 2024 and he's still in power.
So for your prediction to come true, he needs to be out of power in the next 2 months?
Exactly.
Well, let me just ask this. Do you still follow Russian politics?
Not as closely as I used to, because Putin, when I used to follow him, listen, I want to say this in the right way so people don't get mad at me, but I genuinely believe that when he started his presidency and he was the premier prime minister before the presidency, that I do think he wanted the best for Russia in his way, not in the way we would think of the best for a country. He was taking over after Yeltsin. Yeltsin was very sick. You have to understand that the whole government was run by the oligarchs. It was completely out of control, and Putin really seized that and seized his opportunity. So when I really studied him, I felt that he had done a lot for Russia that in the West, we don't see that. Today, of course, we don't see it. Now it's all, But he put Russia on the map for certain things. For example, he had a tax system organized. They weren't really paying taxes. He did that. He brought capitalism to Russia. He's a big capitalist. I mean, he's worth billions and billions of dollars. So I would say that when I studied him, he was a really interesting figure at the time to study. But now I don't study him as much because he's gone off the deep end.
Right.
Yeah.
And in what ways, why do you think he's gone off the deep end, and how?
Well, I think he's turned into an absolute dictator. I think he now is limiting a lot of rights that he wasn't limiting in the beginning. That's first of all. And I also think that, people talk about him in a certain way where they say, oh, with the whole, with all the poisonings and everything that's happened and everything in Ukraine, especially when Ukraine happened, people said, oh, this is so shocking. I can't believe he did this. Well, if you follow Putin, I mean, he's been poisoning people for years. He's been using, chemicals for years. Did you see what happened in Georgia, right? And they stepped into Georgia. So I think that he is someone who takes opportunities, and I don't think Ukraine, it'll end there. That's my guess. Yeah.
Now, while you were in Estonia, shortly after he took charge, there was the Kursk tragedy.
Yeah.
And you write about that as being a really important event in your understanding of Putin, in the world's understanding of Putin. What was that about?
118 sailors in Putin's first 100 days in office sank on the Kursk submarine. Putin did not really have any emotion to help them. The Russians were crying out and saying, please help our men, please help our men. He wasn't doing anything. It was 4.5 days of him having no reaction, no response to it. Then finally he had met, long story short, he had met with Bill Clinton, or had a phone call with Bill Clinton and talked about it. And then he finally said, okay, I'm going to respond. But it really didn't look good for him in his first 100 days of office. And I think it really sets the pace because that's when Putin started at the very beginning to control the media because he didn't like that. So I think it's a crucial event in Russian history that's not talked about in the West enough.
Because the media criticized him for not showing emotions after this horrific tragedy?
Yes. And I also think that this is the Putin we see today. And that's what the book is about. He was one Putin, and then the Kursk happened, and he turned into someone more of who he is today.
And so in the book, do you speculate on pre-Kursk Putin, having picnics in the park and looking at flowers and sunsets and getting teary-eyed when he watches Old Yeller?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why Old Yeller came
I'm thinking,
up.
wow, that's pretty American, but sure. Yeah, whatever the Russian version of that is. Absolutely. Yeah. No, yes, I do in a way. I talk about how he came into fatherhood and his childhood and him growing up with his family. So I do. The book is in Putin's voice. It took me 1.5 years to perfect his voice. So it took a long time. It's writing from in the first person, which is tricky. So it was a lot to accomplish.
And does the voice change much, sort of pre-Kursk to post-Kursk?
Well, the book pretty much ends with the Kursk, the post-Kursk. So it's 4.5 days, and then the book pretty much ends. And then also I created a fictional character, Gosha, his personal aide. And so you get insight into Putin that way as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And did you self-publish the book? Is that correct?
I self-published the book, yeah.
And did you sell a bunch? You did get a lot of reviews, and you're on some chat shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, it didn't go the way I wanted to, the way I thought it was going to go, but it gave me a really good lesson into what I did right and what I did wrong and what I should do in the future. And I think the problem with the book is why people never got it, and I understand this now, is it's fiction. So if I had written nonfiction, and I had a couple of professors tell me, can we please make this nonfiction? I said, no, I want to do it fiction. And I stuck to my guns on that, and I did it, and it happened. I learned a lot from it. I'm not a nonfiction writer in that way, so I'm glad I did what I did.
Right.
And I think it's a solid book. It's a good piece of art. Is it perfect? No. Are there things I'd like to change about it? Yes, but I think I did the best I could at the time.
And when your professors look it over and say, okay, this is great, and they confer the master's degree, do they also give feedback and criticism?
The creative writing ones do, but the Russian studies one, they gave more criticism about, okay, this is more how it would happen, or this event you might want to put in, or that type of
It's a
thing.
disparate group of eyes on this thesis. The creative writing people, and the Russian history scholars.
And the Russian history, and NYU's known for its Russian studies department. Stephen Cohen, who is an NBC correspondent all through the Gorbachev era, he's so close with Gorbachev that I think Gorbachev dedicated, I think, a book to Stephen Cohen. And that's how close they are. And he was one of the professors I would work with.
Right.
And so that was an intense experience, and he was great. And he actually agreed with everything I said, which I was kind of shocked about, but he liked my perspective on Putin.
Right.
So that was at least a little affirming at the time,
Your perspective, this speculative history.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh, how very interesting. So what did you think you were going to do with a master's degree in Russian and creative writing?
Bartend, podcast.
Yeah, bartend. Podcast.
Stripper.
Yeah.
OnlyFans.
Well, yeah. Okay, what's your OnlyFans nickname? What's your alias on OnlyFans?
My OnlyFans nickname would be J India, and I can get into the names in a second if you want me to, because I know
Sure.
you're fascinated by the names and all the monikers here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, my friend and I I shoot with a photographer, and we're actually starting to possibly set something up. Unfortunately, OnlyFans is very saturated at the moment, so I'm looking more to Patreon. But yeah.
What are you going to set up? I'm thinking like there's drunk history. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Drunk history. Oh, these people, celebrities, get really drunk, and then they sort of say, that was the declaration. They get really drunk and they talk history.
Oh.
Now I'm thinking nude history, which you
Yeah, like
probably
showing
do,
my tits and stuff. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
talking about history
Yeah.
or podcasting.
Oh, no, not
or-
talking about history. No.
What
More
would you-
like, I think there's not a lot of talking in that, Norm. I think it's just more like showing the goods. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you're talking about stuff like Russian history or creative writing or how to self-publish, there's your hook. People don't do that.
Yeah, I will be talking about, and I'm not going to talk about it here because it's still all formulating, but I'm going to talk about the new novel I'm working on. So that'll be part of it, and the genre I'm doing it in, which is a totally different genre, and all of that.
Oh, it is. So there's not going to be a sequel to I, Putin.
I don't think so, because it's just like him going fucking nuts. I don't know what else to write. You know what I mean? And then I have to get back in the head of him, and I don't think I want to do that.
Well, you said at one point his confidant might be the protagonist of another novel.
Did I say that?
Yes. And you just named him the confidant. What was it?
Oh, you mean the personal aid?
Yeah.
Oh, Gosha?
Yeah.
Did I say he was going to be part of another novel?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah, the sequel. You said you were starting this. Look, this is like 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
You said you were taking notes for the sequel.
I
and
guess
that
I was 10
Gosha
years ago.
would be the protagonist.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
that
a really
sounds
good idea. I
great.
totally forgot about this. You have to understand
I love that.
I have not been in this world since 2012. So
Yeah.
all the questions you're asking me, I'm like, okay, gotta remember. So I'm impressed with myself right
You don't
now.
have to remember. You just make it all up.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
fine. Huh. So you're not, but there's a new novel in the works.
In the works.
And will it?
It's written. It's done.
Oh, it's written.
It's been through many drafts with a very good fantasy editor. So it's a chick lit fantasy novel.
Chick lit fantasy. And in one thing online, you describe yourself as a speculative author.
Yeah.
Of chick lit fantasy.
Yeah.
And who goes both by my metaphysical podcasting name, Jay India, and my real name, Jennifer.
I knew
C.
that was going to fuck me over one day.
Metaphysical
Today's the
podcasting
day.
name.
Okay, so here's
That's
what
good.
happened.
I want that on a business card.
Here's what happened. So obviously my name is Jennifer Ciotta, right?
Uh-huh.
So when I do the Rhinebeck Scoop, there's people that like me. There's people that don't like me. So I just really never say my last name. I don't say where I live. I don't say what type of car I drive, anything like that. Just I try to keep that private. So I go by Jennifer C. But I think everyone, if they look me up, can know my last name, right?
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
No.
No, it's not that hard. Now, the J India thing is when I started my metaphysical podcast, I wanted to go by a metaphysical name. Also, no one can pronounce my last name. So that came from my Starbucks name. So whenever I go into Starbucks, I always say my name is India, or I go takeout or whatever. We're eating afterwards at River and Post, and they ask me, oh, what's your name? India. Because I've been in situations where I've had takeout and there's been 3 Jennifers.
Right.
So I always change it. So I said, okay, let me change it to J India. I used it for the Metaphysical podcast. During COVID, I used it on Clubhouse because everyone has a nickname on Clubhouse. And then I use it on the IBD podcast as well.
Okay.
So I'm trying to make fetch happen. It's not happening. Do you know that reference?
Yes.
Trying
No.
to make fetch happen?
No.
It's Mean Girls.
Oh. I think I saw that. But
So it's just not happening, but I'm trying to make it happen. I think the first episode of the Rhinebeck Scoop, I said J India, and it just didn't work. So I went back to my real name.
you identified, you said this is J India with the Rhinebeck Scoop.
I did.
Uh-huh.
See? Yeah. He's just looking at me like I'm fucking nuts, like I'm bipolar. I am. That's
Are you?
okay. No, I'm not.
Amongst other things. And you have other things which you write about or have podcasts about. Like you just mentioned IBD.
Right.
Get those initials, which is,
So I have
what does that tell people what it stands for? Tell me what it stands
inflammatory bowel disease,
Right.
which is very different from IBS.
for. Right.
With all due respect to anyone who has IBS is kind of a joke to me compared to what I have. I have the hardcore stuff.
So the other one is irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah, and that's when, you have stress and your tummy feels upset. IBD, I mean, I've had people on my podcast who've had their colons removed, who are using colostomy bags. So it's very, very serious. It's a
Right.
very serious disease. And in 2021, I had what I thought was a flare of something called ulcerative colitis. So the most popular IBDs are either UC, ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's. People know Crohn's the best.
Right.
And what happened was, long story short, I was in bed for weeks. I was housebound for months. I went down to, I'm really short. Go ahead.
What were the symptoms?
Okay, I'll tell you that in a second.
Okay.
So normally I'm really short. I'm 5'1". Normally I'm around 100 pounds, a little over 100 pounds. And I dropped down to 79 pounds
Egads.
because I was so sick and lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. So the symptoms are a lot of, sorry guys, this is going to be a little gross, but a lot of it's rectal bleeding.
Oof.
Yeah. And I had 50 colon spasms a day when things were bad. I couldn't eat. I couldn't even drink water without hurting. All of that. Extreme fatigue, you can imagine. So it was just like I was basically dying. And it was really bad. Yeah.
Egads. And
Egads.
so at some point, I think the bloody stool would do it for me, but at
Yeah.
what point did you say, all right, I really need to see somebody about this?
Well, I'm stubborn and I don't like doctors. I don't like Western doctors.
And I think most people are that way. They're like, oh, it'll get better tomorrow. It'll be better by a week, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the problem or the big mistake I made. And so it took me being bedbound and housebound to make an appointment with a gastroenterologist. I was diagnosed through colonoscopy and I didn't want to go on any of these medications. So I went and I just studied everything myself. And I was able to find out that I actually have something called CIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which is a gene. It's called the HLA gene.
I'm sorry,
And-
it's a what gene?
HLA gene.
Okay.
And the HLA gene is something that 25% of the world population has, and most people don't know about it. And it means you cannot drain toxins from your body like a normal person.
Egads.
Yeah. So this is becoming worse and worse as we enter a world with more and more toxins. So I figured out through all this, went to a specialist and found out that the ulcerative colitis is actually, it's not a disease, and Crohn's is not a disease, and inflammatory bowel disease is not a disease. It's all a symptom of some type of environmental root cause. And as of 2024, the CDC redefined inflammatory bowel disease. It used to be defined as an autoimmune, but there's not enough autoimmune characteristics, and it's now defined as an environmental illness.
Wow.
So I found out what caused mine was mold toxicity. I had lived in a house with extreme mold, grew up in it for 20 years, and it stayed in my body because remember, I have that gene where I can't detox toxins like a normie, and it stayed in and it stayed in. And then I also had a lot of trauma as a child. I went through, I'm very sorry, guys, no trigger warning here, but I was sexually abused from the age of 4 to 6,
Egads.
physical, verbal, all of that. And so all of that kind of compounded into my body. But the good news is I found out it was mold toxicity, went to the right people, and I just have been taking the mold out of my body.
But how? If your body can't get rid of toxins, it's normal. How do you go about detoxifying for mold?
So what you do is you go on special binders, and binders look like powder. That's the only way I can describe them to you, is it looks like powder. I go on all natural binders. I haven't been on them in a while, but they take it out of your body manually. So like someone who's normal can deal with that, but I can't. So it takes it out of my body normally.
So you drink them or eat them or somehow get them into your digestive tract.
Exactly. I put it in water and I drink it, or something like that.
And they bind to the toxins.
They bind to the toxins because those binders have to have the right charge. So there's a different binder for if you have something else, if you have parasites. They're totally different binders than if you have mold. So I did that for a good year, and it's been night and day, and I feel great.
This is recently. This is a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and then I started the podcast because I couldn't find any information out there. No one wanted to talk about IBD because there was such a stigma around it. No one was willing to talk about it.
What is the stigma? Just that it has to do with poop and
stuff?
stuff?
Because it has to do with all sorts of bathroom issues. Yeah,
right.
No one wants to talk about it. So I said, okay, I'm not finding what I need, so I'm going to start a podcast, and it ended up being really a great thing for me. I mean, I started a community, or helped build a community now that I have a lot of listeners in Australia and things like that. So it's been great.
And do you still do that podcast?
Absolutely. Every week. Yep.
Okay. And that was your first podcast?
No, my first podcast ever kind of failed because it was called Two Enlightened Bitches, and it was really fun. It was me and a podcast host, but she basically didn't want to do it anymore. And so I had to abandon ship on that one. And that one turned into 2 Inches Off the Ground, the metaphysical podcast that I still do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why is it called 2 Inches Off the Ground?
Because as Zen Master Suzuki says,
Suzuki?
Yes.
When
you live your life the best, you live it 2 inches off the ground, like you're meditating.
So when you're enlightened, you're sort of floating. And so he said that when you're enlightened, you do that. Have you worked on the path to enlightenment?
Oh, don't I seem enlightened?
I don't know. I mean, this is the most we've ever spoken. We talked a little bit farmer's market the other day.
I'm pretty fucking enlightened, I have to say. I've been working on it for a long time, so I'm pretty fucking enlightened.
No, that's the technical, that's the Sanskrit word. Pretty fucking enlightened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I don't know if I'm enlightened. I think I'm more enlightened than I was when I started the podcast, so I would put it that way. But I think I'm the average human. I try to be more, but I'm not sure if I achieve that.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the idea, 2 inches off the ground.
Yeah.
So that was your first podcast morphed into that.
Yes, correct.
And is that podcast still around?
Yes. In fact, I just did an episode. Actually it's dropping on Sunday. I have a forensic astrologist come on who's a really good friend of mine, and we dissect the Scott Peterson case because we have a whole new theory on the whole Scott Peterson, Lacey Peterson thing.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And this podcast with this whole new theory, talking about Rhinebeck Scoop, though it's virtual Rhinebeck. Sounds like an amazing episode. And you say it drops on Sunday. That's a strange time to drop a podcast, isn't it?
I like to drop that podcast on Sundays because a lot of spiritual podcasts drop on Sundays.
Okay.
And that one's non-religious spiritual.
And so if people wanted to listen to that, and it sounds like pretty good, how would they do that? Where would they go?
Just go to any podcast player you listen to and just type in 2 inches off the ground. And that's it. And
what time will that drop?
I think it drops at midnight.
And do you have like a podcast service and you tell them, all right, make this available at midnight? And
that sounds nice if I had that, but I do everything myself, and so I schedule it.
So you schedule, you get a little alarm?
Yeah, I schedule it. Like you can schedule it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if I'm doing it, 2 days ago, I can drop it. Yeah.
And have you fooled around with different times for dropping your podcasts?
Yeah, it's funny because I had this thing where I thought it was so cute that I would drop things at 11:11 or 4:44. That was bullshit. That lasted for a little while. Then I have a corporate flight attendant podcast. I thought it was cute if I would drop it at 7:47, get it 7:47.
Sure.
And that shit just went by the wayside. So everything drops at midnight on whatever the day is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you say it didn't work, but why didn't it work to drop it at 7:47 or 10:11 or?
Because I couldn't remember, because I have so many fucking shows. I was
see.
dropping this and then I was dropping there, and I couldn't remember. So everything just drops at midnight now.
But somebody's paying attention. That's doing the science of like, here's the best time to drop a podcast on
Yeah.
this or that.
Yeah, I was trying to go with the big metaphysical times, and it didn't do shit for me. So yeah.
And so, are you awake at midnight, or you just schedule it and then while you're asleep at?
No, I'm fascinated that you're fascinated by this.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well,
no,
I'm fascinated because this thing we're doing, this live quote radio show, is recorded, and then it comes out, and it's a podcast. As much as I'm like, I don't do a podcast, I do a live interview show. It's out there, and it's a podcast, and so I'm in that world, and I don't pay a lot of attention. But you've got like 30 or 40 podcasts, and I'm guessing, and you're smart and pay a lot of attention and
Hopefully.
strategic. So I'm guessing you have some insights, and I'm curious about them.
yeah, I mean, I used to have insights, and then again, things just didn't. I thought it would be cool because I looked up all of that, the best day, the best time, and I found
Yeah.
for smaller podcasts, it's not about that. It's more about being consistent. So pick a good day, pick a good time. Saturday is never a good day to drop a podcast ever, because everyone's always busy doing something. Sunday mornings aren't bad for spiritual podcasts. I don't think I do Monday. I do Tuesday and Thursday for the other ones, because those are good times. Friday for the CFA podcast. So those are always good days and times.
Friday for the what podcast?
The Corporate Flight Attendant podcast.
Okay. We're here. Let's talk about
Okay,
that.
so-
Corporate flight attendant.
Yeah. So I
What
flew
the
on
hell?
I flew on private jets as a corporate flight attendant for 6 years. So that's what it's about. It's all about like behind the scenes of what it's like to fly with the rich and the famous. And I do some name dropping. So that's kind of fun too.
Well, so let's hear them. Who were some of the names who you corporate flight attended?
Okay. Bill Clinton. That's one.
Heard of him.
Yep. Bruce Willis. That's
Oh.
another. So those are the two big ones
That's
that I
pretty
flew.
exciting.
Yeah. They're both very nice.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, anyone that I don't like, I don't say their names, but I do give stories about them. Flew a Saudi prince, could not stand. Accused me of basically stealing his phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
On an airplane.
On an airplane.
You stole my phone.
Yeah. That was funny. So
And when it showed up, did this person say, "Oh, sorry"?
he didn't apologize in that way. He thanked me for finding it. And then it's a long story, but I was at a nightclub in Croatia where he was at the same nightclub. I know this is a weird story. And they were sitting in the VIP section. So we ordered a bunch of alcohol and stuff. And so the prince, as a I'm sorry, paid for all of that. So that was nice. Yeah.
That's sweet.
I know. It's a good story.
Sometimes I can't say I'm
random.
sorry just by saying I'm sorry, but here's the other way to say I'm sorry is
Yeah.
it's
Pay
nice
for
like
all
that.
your alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only way these people know how to say I'm sorry, though, when you're at that level.
all too often.
Yeah. Yeah,
Huh.
absolutely.
So you did that for 6 years.
I did that for 6 years. I met my husband that way.
Husband, you married?
I'm married.
My listeners are going to be really sorry to hear that.
I
And
know.
What's
I
your
know. I'm a
husband's-
treasure.
What's
I
your
know.
husband deal? Was he a pilot or something?
He was a pilot. I fucked my way to the top.
You slept your way to the top. 30,000 feet. How high is the top?
I had
35,000?
40,000.
40,000?
50? He's telling me 50.
Do private jets fly higher or lower than commercial jets?
Higher.
Higher. I see. So you did that for 6 years. How did how did that end?
Well, it ended because I didn't want to do it anymore, because I think that it wasn't good for my illness, my chronic illness, because it was a lot of fatigue. It was a lot of time zone switching.
So this job ended just in the last few years.
Yes, I ended it around 2020. And that's another thing. COVID ended it for me too for a
Right.
while. And I never went back. I had opportunities to go back, but I just felt that I wanted to go into more creative space and, make no money. And it's been working for me now. I just live off my husband. I highly recommend it.
Oh, that's great. The making no money things work. It works for me too.
Yeah. I know.
But you're making the most of your time. You write books, you have a dozen podcasts.
Yeah.
You're very, very creatively engaged.
Yeah.
You're not just sitting around doing nothing. And you have some kind of a farmstead as well. I'm guessing you work around the farm.
Not really. I
No.
leave that to my husband.
No. You guessed
I'm not
wrong.
really into it. I do stuff when he's flying, when he has a trip. But yes, we have a farm outside of Rhinebeck, and we have the best beef and the best steaks and everything, and
And what's the name of the farm?
CF cattle,
CF Cattle. And what kind of cows do you raise?
Black Angus.
Oh,
They're beautiful
which
Black
is like
Angus
the
cows.
name brand beef, really. Are there other name brands of beef? I mean, Black Angus is the one I know.
Yes,
like
so
a
it's
Black
there's
Angus.
other ones, but Angus and ours is prime, right? So it's graded prime. So that's the type of beef you would get at Ruth Chris or something like a fancy steakhouse.
And do you butcher them there and then cut them, fabricate the cows?
We go to a USDA butcher. We used to,
Okay.
and so we can get the USDA prime rating.
Okay.
And then we sell to customers. So we sell by a quarter of a cow.
And where is it? A combination abattoir butcher, and where are they located?
The two we use, we like the two we use because they're super humane. One is up in Oneonta, so it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. And we really like them. And the other one is in Canaan, New York, which is right by Copake.
Oh.
And they're also great too. So we wanted to go with the really humane bit, the most humane. I'm sure there's some humane ones around here,
And
but
what makes them humane?
well, first of all, to us, they stun before they take down the animal. Sorry, I'm trying to say it in the nicest way as possible, but they stun the animal before. They have nice, clean, beautiful facilities. The people
Right.
are nice. They're easy to work with. The ones up in Oneonta are Muslim, which I really like because they pray a lot. So I feel like that's good energy that the cows are surrounded with when they go in.
Yeah, why not?
So we're very into the humane part of it. Our cows get massages. Craig massages them with a rake. They can
With
play
a rake. That sounds like scratching your back
Yes,
more than massaging.
yeah. They get massage. They get the best of everything. They get the best grain. They get the best hay. They get the best everything.
And what kind of grain is the best grain?
Well, it's the grain that Craig picks because he gets to know the ingredients. So we
Right.
go to someone up in Hudson where we can choose our ingredients. And we're big into grain fed. I know around here people just want to do the grass fed, but the grass fed sometimes isn't that great. And I'll tell you why. The hamburger on grass feds are great, but the steaks have no marbling. They have no fat. So what you see a lot of times in stores is the grass fed steaks, no one buys them. So then you've now processed an entire cow and no one's buying those steaks. So to me, with all due, a little bit of a waste. So we do grain and we make sure it's the best grain we can feed them. So for example, a grass fed cow will go in to be processed at 600 to 800 pounds. Ours go in around 1,600 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The grain fed.
Yeah.
Do they put on the weight much faster with grain than with grass?
Absolutely. They hardly put on weight with grass. They put on weight and Craig increases the feed every week or every month or things like that.
And how many cows do you have on this farm?
Now we have 4 because we just had 3 go in for processing.
Okay. Processing. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we don't say. We try to keep it nice for the vegans. Yeah.
You sell a lot to the vegans?
We don't. No, they don't like us. Can I tell you a story? Can I tell you? Here's a good story.
No more stories.
Oh, no, this one's a good one.
All
So
right.
we had sold to Craig knew this person through work or something, and they came to our house, the husband and wife, to pick up their quarter of a cow. Keep in mind, they're coming with their freezer, so they know exactly what's going on. And the wife comes in, and she just keeps crying about the cows and how they were processed. But you're coming to our house with a freezer to get meat that you purchased. And she's sitting here crying her eyes out. And I was like, Craig, you got to get her the fuck off this property. I can't handle this. This is too much.
Right. And so what happened next? I mean, you could have gone inside, I suppose.
I think I did go inside. I
Right.
think I was done with
And
that
she
because
got
I'm
her
like, this is
quarter of
ridiculous.
a cow.
Yeah. As she was literally packing a quarter of a cow into her freezer.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And what is it? And so the cow went off to be dealt with, and then it comes back in pieces, and then this
Yes.
person comes and gets the cow.
Yes.
Quarter of a
And
cow.
everything's
Fabricated into various cuts.
right.
And what does it cost for a quarter of a cow? At that point, all cut up and wrapped up and
I can't remember. It's 15
You can use
to
one
18.
you can use one of your lifelines now.
My husband's sitting right here, so I'm asking him.
Yeah.
I think we're charging $1,500 a quarter, and it's going to move up to $1,800 a quarter next
Right.
year. Yeah,
But still, it's probably a significant
such a good deal,
savings
and the
versus
best
buying
meat you'll
it at
ever
house.
get. Way better than anything you'll get.
So prior to this, had you ever sort of been involved in the demise of the meat that you ate?
No, I married into this.
Yeah.
Norm.
Yeah, you never seen a chicken like
I'd seen a chicken
cut up and
I'd seen a chicken, but I never.
you saw a chicken like with its head cut off and
No,
drain
I
of
never
blood
seen.
and
No,
like,
no, no,
oh,
no,
great,
no.
let's
I'd never
make
seen
soup.
that, but I was just like, wow, this is what goes into it, and you really do appreciate the meat when you see what goes into it.
Right.
Every day, you have a much bigger appreciation for it.
Right. So you have 4 now. You usually have 6 or 7? Or...
7, 8 sometimes. Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. Do they have names?
They have names. So our mommies are Diamond and Silk.
They're what?
Diamond and Silk.
That sounds like a country song.
They were in, was it COVID? It was the first election with Trump or COVID. Yeah, it was 2020, where there were these crazy podcasters named Diamond and Silk. They were 2 black women. And they were and we're not saying anything political at all. We just thought the names were funny. Because we've had a cow named Michelle Obama too, and we had Sasha and Malik and all that kind of stuff. So we're not political. We're not, the cows aren't political. So we had this year for the feeders, those are the ones, the 3 that get processed. We did boxers this year. So we had Mike Tyson, George Foreman, and Sugar Ray Leonard.
I love George Foreman.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get the grill? Do you have the grill?
steak would then be on the George Foreman grill later on. And I think he has like George Foreman grilling sauce.
George Foreman.
You need to tell George Foreman you've got a cow named George
Well,
Foreman.
we don't anymore. He was just processed this morning. So
when you've got a freezer of your own, I'm guessing, big freezer, packed with different
I know
cuts.
if Craig fucks with me, I know where to put the body.
And are you friends with one of the people, the abattoirs? They could stun him first and
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, being a woman, they're all males working in there.
He's
So I
flipping
just
you off right now. Does that count as fucking with you?
It's fucking with me a little bit.
That's nice.
He has to watch his back a little
Fast
bit.
forward to tomorrow, the state trooper is knocking on my door. So how did she seem? Did she seem agitated?
I also know that turtles will eat anything. And we have a lot of turtles
I
around
was
us.
hoping we could talk about turtles.
I've learned this fact. So again, I have backup plans.
Backup plans.
Yeah, I have backup
right,
plans.
the turtles could eat his body.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
How many acres do you have out there?
10.
10. That's enough.
Yeah, it's enough.
Yeah.
We still have to feed them hay because it's not enough for that many cows. But yeah,
Cows are not that smart, I don't think.
they're smart and they're dumb. They do some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Like put their head in fences,
Oh, yeah.
put their head through fences. We had a cow get stuck in a water tank because she wanted to cool off. And yeah, Craig has a picture where I was left to fend for that because Craig was in Tokyo. So I had to deal with a cow. I'm taking a walk. I'm walking my 2 dogs and I'm walking. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And one of our cows, Princess, who's no longer with us, she decided to take a bath and she could not get out. So it's a 1,600-pound cow in a water tank that now I had to figure out how to get out. It was not pretty.
It's a picture of my future. Help, I'm stuck in the bathtub. Bowls. You don't have a bowl. You hire a bowl, or do you buy bowl semen?
What are you saying?
Do you breed the cows?
Oh, a bull. I thought you were saying a bowl, like a bowl,
I'm
like
sorry,
a bowl
it's
of.
my crappy accent.
Oh, a bull. Okay, so Craig's really into
Bowls
this.
Don't have semen.
So sometimes I open my fridge and there is bull semen in there.
So
and
he
that
tells you,
happens.
yeah.
Yeah. And also embryos. Craig is big into buying the embryos. And let me tell you something, Norm, they're not cheap.
What do you pay for a vial of bull semen?
It was
And then do you have like a baster?
yeah, so basically so I think each vial of bull semen is $75. Oh, each
Oh, that's not
vial of
terrible.
bull semen is $30. You have the vet come and he does it.
Oh,
So they do it. But with the embryos, they have to stay frozen in a special embryo thing. It's not at our home. And then those cost, how many did you buy? 4? 6 for $8,800.
Okay.
Yeah, it's expensive.
That's a lot.
I know, because
And-
it came from a bull that was like 500,000.
But I'm
Yeah.
guessing that that's a lot more effective than just putting the semen in there.
No, it's not.
Well,
And
why would you pay that premium?
because he wants the genetics,
I see.
right? So it comes from.
But don't you have the genetics of the semen? And they're like a little,
You
a
do, but
notebook,
the
you're like,
semen.
oh, this guy's got a master's degree in Russian. Let's get that ball.
Exactly. That's what we look for.
Yeah, this guy has a nice smile.
We look through a
Little horns.
catalog, or he looks through a catalog, and he finds the ones he wants for the embryos and the semen, but the ones for the embryos
Plays
are
chess.
you're talking like, again, like a $500,000 bull. You're getting those genetics, and he wants to create really good genetics.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know, it's a lot.
Yeah,
I
that-
did not. Again, I married into this.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I talk about this shit all day long, I can't believe it. Some days I wake up and I'm like, oh, there's some more bull semen in my fridge.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is normal.
Huh. Well, speaking of talking about shit, can we switch now to green poo?
Okay.
Green poo. You talked about this in one of your podcasts.
What did I say?
Well, you were talked about with.
Did I
with
have green poo?
with regards? Yes. Yeah, you said. Here, I'll quote
Please,
what you said.
please quote me. I don't even know what I
it was
said.
it was the cover of the podcast. You see an outline of a green heart. When I have this use, right? When I have an
Oh.
amazing poo, one of those perfectly shaped, beautiful poos, I call it a green heart. Not sure. In my household, we also call one or more perfect poos a green heart day. My hope for you is that every day is a green heart day.
That was
It's a
lovely.
beautiful
Thank you, Norm. I've
beautiful
never had
sentiment.
anyone say it to me. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, the best thing in the world is having a great shit. And everyone, can you attest for that?
I can. Somebody asked me once, they said, why are you so happy? The first thing that came to my mind was, I'm so regular. That's why I'm a happy soul.
Exactly.
Regularity.
Yeah, as Craig likes to say, that what's the three things? A good nap, good heart on, and a good poo. Those are his three things.
There you go. So
Yeah.
you got two out of three. I'm
Yeah, I
guessing.
got to. Yeah, I get to watch him nap, but yeah, we don't poo together. So I guess
don't?
we don't. So I guess I have one. I guess I benefit from the hard on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good benefit.
We should probably talk about that. Since
Oh,
we discussed
absolutely. Let's
everything
talk about
else.
our sex life.
Yeah,
I have no
how's the sex
problem.
life?
Yeah, it's good. It's actually really
Craig's
good.
shaking his head. You're not getting laid tonight.
No, I'm
He's
getting
like-
laid anytime I want, so I'm fine.
Oh,
I can
really?
go into that truck and get laid in 5 minutes if I needed to.
Oh, nice.
So we're all good, Norm.
Well, hats
He's
off to
shaking
you,
his
Craig.
head.
Yeah. Oh, and giving a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice. How long have you guys been married?
We've been married just over 6 years.
And how did you meet?
We met through work.
Which work? Oh,
Remember, I
through
fucked
through
my way to
airplane.
the
That's
top.
right.
Yeah,
He's
the
a
Mile High
pilot.
Club.
That's
Remember
right.
that whole thing?
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
No,
You
we didn't do
didn't.
that. No, we're
Autopilot.
professional.
That must be against some sort of like union rules.
Absolutely. We
Is
never
it a
did
union
that.
gig being a pilot in a private?
Not corporate.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Are most commercial pilots union? I know the air traffic
Yes.
controllers.
We'll say yes.
Used to be anyway.
Yeah. We don't know much about commercial because that's below us. We like to talk about the private jets. That's what we
That's
fly on.
below
Yeah.
us.
Exactly. It's
That's right.
Rhinebeck here. Come on.
Yeah. And well, all right. So you met in the airline. Were you living in Rhinebeck at that point?
No. I was living in Pennsylvania when I met you? Okay. I was living in Pennsylvania.
Where?
Easton, Pennsylvania. It's really well known because it's the exact center between New York and Philadelphia. So that's where all the drugs go. So everyone would come in
Like
on the
big
day.
warehouses.
Oh, I'm not even kidding.
Crack
People would
here,
know.
coke here.
My friends would be like, "Listen, it's 5 p.m. We got to get downtown because they're being delivered
The
in
eight
about."
balls are arriving.
I'm not even kidding. It's not. It's totally like that.
And why
yeah.
were you in Easton? Were you involved in the drug trade?
I was I'm Colombian. Of course, I was involved
Are
in
you?
the drug trade. I am. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. That's my life.
Ciotta doesn't seem especially Colombian.
I know I'm adopted
Kinda
from
name.
Colombia. I know.
I see.
Yeah. So
Huh. Well, good. That's lucrative.
good. Yeah, good for me. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Somebody's going to make money on that.
Someone's gonna make money. Do you do drugs?
No.
You don't? None?
Well, I'm drinking booze right now. Thanks so much for bringing this in. That's my
Absolutely.
drug of choice. Once in a blue moon, I will have some weed. But I never took to it.
I did drugs this morning.
You did?
Yeah.
What kind?
Well, I can't say because it's not legal in New York State, technically.
Mushrooms?
Maybe.
Huh. Well, those things are those are legal in like Portland or someplace.
They're legal in Oregon and Colorado.
Oh, so
So
that's
I've
what she
checked
did.
it. Yeah, yeah.
You know where it's legal.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So
That's
I'm good with
interesting.
them.
Now, and just supposing that that's what it was, were you microdosing?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. And have you microdosed a bunch? And have you noticed any sort of like psychological benefits,
Well,
emotional benefits of the microdosing?
my friend likes to microdose.
Let's talk about
My
your
friend named Jessica. She likes to
Yeah,
microdose.
Jessica Shea.
And yes, I have noticed a lot of psychological benefits from that.
Yeah, people claim that there's all kinds of wonderful benefits from the microdosing.
Yeah. And I have to say something that took me by surprise is, okay, not to get too technical, but a lot of times when you heal from IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, what's left is something called MCAS, or it's basically known as histamine intolerance. So it's your body cannot handle a lot of the histamines in foods. So you get a lot of these kind of allergic reactions and things like that. But I have to say, Jessica, my friend, who does this, who takes psilocybin, she has noticed that with her histamine, this is the only thing that works.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Because it helps with the nervous system and
Right.
immune system. It helps calm down the nervous system.
And does Jessica take like a little tablet in the morning or a little capsule?
Oh, Jessica has her own little cocaine mirror that she does the chopping of the lines and the razor blade and the whole thing, and then takes
does
it.
Jessica snort it or put it in tea or?
Jessica likes to put it in water and then take it that way. Yeah.
Jessica,
I know.
drug user.
I know.
No patience
Jessica
with
doesn't
Jessica.
drink, but she likes drugs.
Many people do. I wouldn't be surprised to be a lot healthier for people if instead of drinking alcohol, which is poisonous to the body, they did various drugs.
Yeah, I love how you're saying that with a huge bottle of Cooper's Daughter sitting right here, and all of you are partaking in that.
it's-
That's
it's-
pretty
delicious.
funny.
It's half full. I'd like to point out.
Oh my God, it is half full.
Yeah,
You
the
guys.
three of us are
can't drive
doing
home.
a pretty good job on it. Thank you. And thanks for bringing
Ask
it.
her about going out to eat.
Okay. Hey, Jessica. I mean, Jennifer. What about going out to eat?
I'm good. I'm much better than I was. Because
How so? How were you bad at going out to eat?
because the inflammatory bowel disease, I couldn't really eat a lot. And now that my gut lining, my gut barrier has been healed much more, I'm able to eat a lot more, but I stay away from industrial seed oils, which I love to lecture on. It's my favorite thing.
And what are some examples of industrial seed oils?
So it's the crap you get in restaurants that are the canola oil that everything's cooked in, that a lot of the dishes are cooked in, a lot of, fries and things like that are cooked in. So you have your soybeans, sunflower, safflower, any of these seed oils, which are not good for you because Procter and Gamble back in, I think it was the 40s, it might have been the 50s, had gathered them as toxic waste basically and figured out a way to reuse them. And now we've reused them. I know, they're so smart, right?
Hey, Bob, see what you can do
Yeah.
with a pile of toxic waste.
That's exactly what it is when you look it up. And so that's why it's so inflammatory to the gut, and I stay away from them.
And so often when people start tuning into that, restaurants will start saying like, oh, no MSG, no seed oils or whatever.
I'm
Do
hoping.
You see this?
I'm seeing it more and more. I'm hoping there's a seed oil app that's coming out now. I'm seeing a lot of, for example, if you go to Terrapin, you can get a good Caesar salad without seed oil. They use olive oil instead.
And they say that on the menu.
They don't, I have to ask. But I've been seeing
When
a lot
they
more.
start seeing, maybe they can get some more sales by saying it. They'll start saying it.
Yeah, you should start saying it. And a lot of these restaurants are now getting a little more, I would say they're getting a little better, but the ones that are great, I have to commend because that's a hard thing to do. It's expensive. It's expensive not to use seed oils because this bottle of canola oil is so cheap, right? And they have to make their margins. But I just stick to restaurants that usually use olive oil, butter, grapeseed oil, things like that.
And when you ask the server, does this contain any seed oil? Do they usually know?
Yeah, I'm not an annoying bitch. And usually they don't know.
Karen is not one of your aliases.
Yeah, Karen's totally, there's Jessica, there's Karen. But I've gotten better with it because a lot of times they don't understand what I'm saying. So I just have to really read the menu. And if I have a question, I'll limit it to one question. But there's certain dishes I just won't eat. I'll stay away from.
Huh. Well, speaking of questions, I got a gajillion fucking questions, but we have
I know. I'm so interested.
2.5 minutes left.
I'm so
It
fascinating.
has zoomed by. I want to ask about these things, so I'm going to read them off. In 2021, you got your ulcerative colitis diagnosis. 2022, you got a certification in psychic detection. In 23, advanced medical intuition. Also in 23, a Reiki master. Also in 23, advanced and intermediate mediumship. In 2024, that's this year, advanced medical intuition 2. And also this year, primal trust brain retraining and nervous system regulation for chronic illness. And finally, trance mediumship. Where do you get these certifications from?
Omega.
Okay.
Very simple. Online Omega.
And they're actual like certificate courses.
They're certificate courses. I get them either online or most of them are at Omega. My favorite psychic detective comes there, psychic medium, Tony Stockwell. So I do a lot of his courses. Those are really good. And yeah, I'm really, really, really into the paranormal and metaphysical and all that. I'm that person.
And do you have ghosts at your house?
I do. I did a whole episode on it.
Oh, you did? I missed that
I
one.
know. I guess you don't listen enough to the Rhinebeck Scoop.
I listened to like 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, right. Prove it.
No, he did.
I did.
Okay, tell me one thing from an episode.
Oh, I was, I listened to the Joe DeLue one.
Oh, yeah.
Which was interesting. What else did I listen to?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like that episode?
No, I'm saying you sound like you didn't like that episode.
Oh, well, you mentioned me like 8 times. I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
And I said you were great.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Yeah.
But I was, it was, for people who aren't aware, I mean, it was a huge fucking deal in this town. And I was like, I don't know, I kind of want to deal with it, but didn't. And you did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, God bless you for like tackling this tough topic that's going to have people upset. And you had producers and creators of Radio Free Rhinecliff, Jen and Matty here, talking with you about it. And it was a beautiful show and a ballsy topic.
I'm a ballsy girl.
Are you?
I am. I'm a ballsy girl. And I say, you know what? You got to tackle some of these things.
You got to what?
You got to tackle some of these things.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm
now banned from Le Petit Bistro. But besides that, everything's going well.
Are you?
Yeah. I want to have my Hanukkah party there and they won't let me have it.
But it wasn't, you didn't say anything incendiary or insulting.
No. I said all good, nice things.
How did you find out your band?
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Oh,
I think the
okay.
guy doesn't like me, though. I would imagine. I called him boring and bland about 700 times in that
I
episode.
heard that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guess what? That's the note we're ending this show on. Yeah. Jen C, Jay India, Jennifer Ciotta, Jessica, Karen. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks for bringing your husband and this beautiful whiskey. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. Have a great Friday night and a fabulous weekend.
Thank you.